Nithya Gora Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nithya Gora Hari Bol. हरि नाम संकीर्तन की जय, हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की जय, दामोदर महीना की जय, कार्तिक महीना की जय. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. So we have all assembled today to hear the Damodar Katha, which is called as Damodar Mahina and also called as Kartik Mahina, which is the most important month in the calendar. And how do we rate the importance of the month? The whole spiritual journey is based on mercy of the Lord. If the Lord bestows His mercy, then we make spiritual progress. So what does Lord say in the Bhagavad Gita 10th chapter? He says, Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam. enamam upayanti te. So all we have to do is two things. Tesham satata yuktanam. Be engaged in perpetual worship of the Lord. And then satatam bhajatam priti purvakam. So you chant the holy names of the Lord in kirtan with priti or love. When this is seen by the Lord, the mercy of the Lord descends. And then Krishna says, Dadami buddhi yogam tam. I give you the knowledge through which you can come to me. So the whole process of spiritual advancement is based on the descendants of mercy from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which is descending through the Vaishnavas and the various gurus in coming in the authorized parampara. So this is a very, very important thing to be understood, because you are all students of Bhagavad Gita. We will try and refer to some important slokas as we go along today with the Damodar Katha. We all know by now, I hope, that the first 6 chapters of the Bhagavad Gita is on Karma Yoga, right? So extensively, the discussions of Karma Yoga takes place in chapter number 3 and chapter number 5. Now, Karma Yoga, if it has to be simply defined, it is working for the pleasure of the Supreme unconditionally. That is Karma Yoga. Now, if this has to be done, then unconditional work, how do you do for that Supreme Personality of Godhead? Only when you have some knowledge about that Supreme Personality of Godhead. So therefore, in chapter number 4, which is entitled as Transcendental Knowledge, Krishna gives us knowledge about himself so that you can effectively spend your time working for the pleasure of that Supreme Personality of Godhead. So in that, chapter number 4, Krishna actually tells the 3 reasons why he comes down to the material universe. In chapter number 4, sloka number 8, Krishna says, Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma samstarpanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. So Krishna says he comes millennium after millennium, and whenever he comes, he does 3 things. He does paritranaya sadhunam, which is to protect the devotees, and then vinashaya cha dushkritam, that is all the miscreants he destroys when he comes down to the earth planet as an avatar. And then the 3rd reason is dharma samstarpanarthaya, to re-establish the principles of religion. However, these are all the technical reasons why Krishna comes down to the earth planet. Why does he really come to the earth planet? He comes to the earth planet to actually associate with the devotees of the Lord. What happens when he comes down to the earth planet is he becomes a source of inspiration for the sadhakas like us, at least like me. So we are all sadhakas trying to aspire for spiritual perfection in this lifetime. So the sadhakas, for them it is a source of inspiration when the Lord comes down and plays his leelas along with all of us. And then there is another variety for pure devotees. For the pure devotees, it is a source of bliss for the pure devotees of the Lord when he comes down and plays his leelas. And then there are also non-believers, and for them also, it is a source of interest. It's arousing their inquisitiveness when he comes down to the earth planet. So for all the non-practitioners of Krishna consciousness also, he becomes a source of interest for all. So he actually comes down because of his causeless mercy, so that we may get interested to pursue spiritual life very seriously. Yeah. So when he comes down and plays all the leelas, how do we transport ourselves from just a source of interest to a source of bliss? That is from the level of just arousing our inquisitiveness to go to a state of bliss. How do we do that? In the very next sloka of the fourth chapter, Krishna says, Janma karma chame divyam evam yo veti tatvataha tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti. So Arjuna. So that is the rule of going to the state of bliss. We have to understand and accept that Krishna's Janma and his karma, meaning activities, are divyam and transcendental. If you know this and you accept this from all your heart, then you can go to a state of bliss. So in this Leela of Krishna, which is transcendental, it is like, it is how Krishna Leela manifests as the beloved child of Mother Yashoda. Yashoda is a very, very special devotee. We have Yashoda as, we popularly say, as the foster mother of Sri Krishna, and Devaki is the mother who gives birth to Krishna. So that is the popular understanding. But then Yashoda and Devaki were great friends. And Yashoda means one who gives fame. So Yashoda wanted Devaki to get all the fame, so therefore she let her to be apparently the mother of Krishna, but the real mother of Krishna is actually Yashoda Maya. Now we need to understand what is the verdict of the Shastras on the amount of love that Krishna had, or rather Yashoda had for Krishna. It is understood as a clear fact that in the material world, the mother's love for the child is supposed to be the maximum. Nobody can love the mother as much as, love the child as much as the mother. Now, if you technically add the love for the child of all the mothers of the universe, it is equal to a mustard seed of love that Krishna, Mother Yashoda had for Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that is the kind of love that Mother Yashoda had for Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So really speaking, this whole Leela can be termed as a binding rope of spotless love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yeah. So realistically speaking, there is no rope that can bind the Lord, isn't it? Yeah. What is that famous pastime? The Lord is the holder of all universes. Yeah. So how can you bind that Lord who is the holder of all universes? Which is that pastime which tells us that the Lord has got all the universes in his mouth and in his stomach? Any answers? Well, that famous pastime when Krishna ate mud, right? When he ate mud, there are several complaints that Mother Yashoda used to get about her darling son. She used to brush aside all these complaints and say, look, it's not possible. My darling son cannot do all these things. You people are just lying and you must be just hallucinating. You're envious that my child is such a beautiful child. And he's such a darling to all, and you just simply complain. So, but this time, Balaram, who is always very protective of Krishna, his younger brother, he comes and tells Yashoda, Maya, this time you must take some action because eating mud can be injurious to his health. So in the interest of his health, you should try and correct Sri Krishna, your son. Don't support him unnecessarily. So finally, when Balaram also complained, then Mother Yashoda said, this must be something serious. It can injure the health of my child if he picks up mud from anywhere and eats it. So then what did she do? She just chastises Krishna, and Krishna says, Mother, these people are just telling lies. You think I will do such a ghastly thing? Am I not intelligent enough to understand that I shouldn't be eating mud? Do you believe these stories? No, no, no. Balaram is also told that, she must, you are eating mud. So open your mouth and show me. So when he opens the mouth, what did Mother Yashoda see? She saw all the universes within the mouth of Krishna, and she saw all the planetary systems. And in that planetary system, in the earth planet, she also saw Sri Vrindavan Dham. And in that Vrindavan Dham, she was sitting with her son Krishna in Sri Vrindavan Dham. When she saw this, she was completely shocked. She says, what's going wrong with me? I'm a simple village girl and I don't have so much knowledge of the Shastras. And what am I seeing? I haven't been on a course of antibiotics. I've not been unwell with some bacterial infection. And I've not had antibiotics that I should be hallucinating. Yeah. And therefore, this should be the work of some witchcrafty. Maybe some people in Vrindavan, the demons, have played some tricks on me, and I'm seeing all these things. So the moment she was in that mood and about to realize that her son was none other than the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Yogamaya enters the scene and brings her back to normal consciousness. Can you imagine this? That is why Mother Yashoda's love for Krishna is considered greater, much, much greater than even Devaki. We all know how Devaki was having Krishna in the prison house of Kamsa, right? How did Krishna manifest himself? Full of jewelry, in his four-handed form, he manifests himself, right? So there was a gyan that my son is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So it is called as Aishwarya Mishra Bhakti, which, Jnana Mishra Bhakti or Aishwarya Mishra Bhakti. Okay, let's call it Jnana Mishra Bhakti, meaning she had this knowledge that her son is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When you have that kind of knowledge, then what happens? The relationship between the Lord and you becomes that of formal, reverence, right? She really revered her son because he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead, even though that was momentary. And then on the request of Vasudeva and Devaki, Krishna manifests himself as a child, and then we know the story, what happened later. But in case of Yashoda Maiya, she never knew that her son was the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So there was no barrier in between Yashoda and Krishna for the mutual exchange of love and affection between each other. So that is, it is called as Kevala Bhakti. Yeah, there is nothing but Bhakti. Bhakti meaning serving each other. Mother Yashoda serves her son Krishna, and Krishna gives her mother happiness, his mother happiness. So it was a complete Kevala Bhakti, or Bhakti in its purest form is what we get to see in Yashoda. So if we follow in the footsteps of Mother Yashoda, Bhakti and perfection in Bhakti is assured. So in this entire month of Damodar, we should actually be meditating on the lotus feet of Yashoda Maya, and Bhakti is assured. So there are many types of bindings that we see in the material world, right? You don't have to name them. It just comes. It's an onset of so many things which bind us to the material world, attract us to the material world. But the greatest binding force is actually the strength of prema. So that's what we get to see, and that is why Krishna was bound by Mother Yashoda by the rope. Why is this name Damodar has come up? Dama means rope, Uddara means stomach. So this is the month when Krishna was tied around the belly by Mother Yashoda by the ropes of love. Yeah, so that is the Prabhupada gives the example of a bumblebee. The bumblebee, as we all know, is capable of piercing layers of wood. And, but still this bumblebee which can pierce through wood is able to be happy when it is trapped in the soft lotus flower, right? Why? Because it is tasting the nectar. So it's very easy for the bumblebee to, free itself from the lotus flower, but it is trapped still by its own option of being trapped because of this rasa of love and nectar which is flowing out of the lotus flower. So Krishna is also compared to this bumblebee who was captivated by the love of Yashoda. And that was primarily the reason to be bound. Right through the fabric of the Bhagavad Gita and the conclusion of every chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, whether it is Karma Yoga or Jnana Yoga or the portions of Bhakti Yoga itself, the primary lesson that comes out is that Bhakti is the only way to be close to Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So on this day morning, it was actually on the day of Diwali, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, bro? On the day of Diwali. So the maid servants were very busy on that day. They were engaged in so many other services. And even Nanda Maharaj was not there in the palace. He had to oversee the arrangements of Diwali in the entire village. So he was so much in a hurry that he forgot to take even his walking stick along with him. So when that happens, then Yashoda said, this is the time for me to churn butter for my darling son myself. Let me do some personal service for him. So she started churning butter personally for Krishna. And then when she was churning butter for Krishna, she was singing poetry about all the childhood pastimes of Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yeah, so poetry can come if only your Siddhanta is perfect. So she does feel that she is an ordinary village girl, but her Siddhanta and her philosophy is perfect because she is able to compose poetry, right? If somebody can read the Bhagavad Gita in a very, in a fashion of a song, he must be an expert in the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. Only then can he compose poetry. So Yashoda Maya was actually singing glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So at that time, the churning was going on vigorously, and this is compared by the scholars that when churning is going on, it is compared to the the churning that goes on in the material world, of which we are all very much a part of. But while this churning is going on, we should always keep Krishna's name in our lips, chant the names of Krishna, meditate on the pastimes of Krishna, read the Bhagavad Gita while this churning of material activities takes place. And when this you're able to do, stay in that state of Krishna consciousness in spite of all the material churning that goes on, the Lord immediately rushes to the devotee to consume this. It is referred to as Hridaya Amruta. Yeah. So what is the Hridaya Amrita that Krishna wants to drink right now? There are two Amritas, Hridaya Amritas. One is the nectar flowing out of the breasts of Mother Yashoda. He was very keen on associating with his mother and consuming the nectar of the nectarian milk coming out of her breasts. And then the second is the Hridaya Amrita, is the love flowing from Mother Yashoda's heart. So these are the two types of Amrita that Krishna wanted to taste from Mother Yashoda. The Lord is extremely attracted by the devotion. There is nothing else that can attract the Lord except for devotion. Bhaktya mam abhijanati, it is said in the Bhagavad Gita, that only through the process of bhakti can you understand the Lord and can you actually go to a state of spiritual perfection only through the process of bhakti. So when the Lord comes there, the churning was still going on because Mother Yashoda wants to serve the Lord. He suddenly held the churning rod in his hand, yeah, and stopped Mother Yashoda from churning, because Krishna always likes to be the center of attraction whenever there are devotees. Yeah, it's one thing to see that we are doing so many activities to attract the Lord. We can't even fathom how much the Lord cares for us. So we'll take a small deviation here. We'll talk about a scripture called Bhagavatamritam. It's a story of a cowherd boy. What was the name of the cowherd boy? Gopakumar. My senior moments, I'm forgetting. Okay, so Gopakumar was traveling from one universe to another universe, following the instructions. He got attracted to go to Jagannath Puri, he got attracted to go to Vrindavan Dham, he got attracted to go to the higher planets. So many things happened, and none of these places gave him joy and bliss. And then finally he lands in Vaikunta. When he lands in Vaikunta, what's that verse from Brahma Samhita? Lakshmi Sahasra Sata Sambram Sevyamanam Govindam Adi Purusham Tamham Bhajami. There are thousands and thousands of Lakshmis serving Lord Vishnu in all opulence in Vaikunta. But he was not caring for opulence. He was not a person who wanted to see so much of opulence. He was just attracted to Govinda, his Lord, in his heart. So he started shouting in Vaikunta. And then he said, "Hey Gopal, hey Gopal, hey Gopal," because he could see only Gopal in Mahavishnu, who was being worshipped in all opulence in Vaikunta. So he was stopped on the tracks by the residents of Vaikunta. "What are you doing, my boy? Don't you know that this is Vaikunta? And in Vaikunta, there is a decorum that you have to follow. You know, don't go like this shouting about Gopal, Gopal, Gopal." But the Lord understood who this devotee was. This was Gopakumar, who was a devotee of Gopal. So then Mahavishnu said, "Just leave him alone. Call him here." And the Lord speaks to his devotee. And the Lord says that all these lifetimes, I have been waiting for you. When you will come back home, back to Godhead. Yeah? And finally you have come. So we are so eager to do our chanting, to do our sadhana with the interest that we should attain spiritual perfection and go back home, back to Godhead. Do you even realize how much the Lord wants you to come over to Him? And then, after a pleasant chat, Vishnu understood that this is not the place for him, dispatches him to Golokdham, where he meets Krishna, and there is a alingan between Krishna and Gopakumar. So here Krishna wants to experience the Hridaya Amrita from Mother Yashoda. And Mother Yashoda is feeding milk to Krishna, and she's enjoying the beauty of Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So then suddenly she remembers that there is a milk which is in the kitchen, which is boiling over, which she was boiling for actually making special sweets for Krishna. So the milk was overflowing. Now, there is a philosophy about the milk as well. Nothing in Vrindavan, is ordinary, mundane things. In Vrindavan, everything, including the milk, has got consciousness. So the milk was having the consciousness that Mother Yashoda is feeding all the milk. So how will I be able to serve the Lord now? I rather overflow and kill myself and commit suicide. This was the consciousness of the milk. And then, so Mother Yashoda, in her urgency to take the milk off the stove, puts Krishna suddenly in the bottom, stops feeding milk and runs to the kitchen. So Krishna is in a state of anger. Krishna is in a state of frustration because there was a sudden break to the exchange of this love that he was experiencing with his mother Yashoda. So generally, we have heard that from the knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita that karma is bad, lusty desires are bad, krodha is bad, anger is bad, and greed of Yashoda to run to the kitchen in a hurry to save the milk in the kitchen was lobha. Lobha is bad. But in this context, we have to understand that this is transcendental greed, transcendental kama, and transcendental krodha. Krishna just loved butter, we all know. Then what did Krishna do in that anger and frustration? Krishna just took a stone and broke the pot of butter which was there on the roof, and the whole place was a complete mess. Because how much could Krishna carry in his little fingers, tiny little hands? How much butter he could carry? It was impossible. Then he knew where these keys to the storehouse was there, and then he opened the storehouse of butter. And inside the storehouse, if you have experienced village life, it does not have some elaborate lighting. It's all in darkness. But with his self-effulgent mystic potency, the whole storehouse was lit up. And again, Krishna started messing up the storehouse and keeping all the goodies, taking all the goodies that were there in the storehouse. And he took that and ran into the courtyard of Nanda Maharaja's palace. Yeah. So you can imagine how much mess was created by Sri Krishna in the house of Nanda Maharaj. Yeah. Out of frustration and anger, which is transcendental, he himself says in the Bhagavad Gita, what's that verse number 62 of the second chapter? Krishna says, Dhyayato Vishayan Pumsa Sangaste Shupajayate Sangat Sanjayate Kama Kamat Krodho Vijayate Krodhat Bhavati Sammoha Sammohat Smriti Vibhramaha Smriti Bramshat Buddhi Nasho Buddhi Nashat Pranashyati. Krishna is advising all of us to against this Dhyayato Vishayan Pumsa. But what kind of Vishayan? It is all the material objects which keep distracting our attention. Dhyayato Vishayan Pumsa. Because Sangaste Shupajayate, Sangat Sanjayate Kama. The moment you contemplate on the objects of the senses, what happens? Kama develops. And all the desires cannot be automatically satisfied. Therefore, from kama comes krodha. Yeah? And then krodhat bhavati sammoha. When there is anger, there is complete confusion. Then there is complete destruction of spiritual intelligence. So when then Mother Yashoda comes back and she sees the utter mess that is created by her son, and she actually started smiling. And why was she smiling? She was smiling because she thought that I tried to save a pot of milk, and here I am, lost so many pots and pots of butter. So this is what we all do. We try to work and save on small things, yeah? How to save 5 rupees, how to increase our bank balance. We are so much consumed in our efforts to doing that, but we forget the main purpose of human life, which is self-realization. So Mother Yashoda had that feeling that I just tried to do this, and here I am. I have lost everything that I had. There's complete destruction, yeah, of all the wealth that was there in the house, the wealth of butter, because butter is something which every cowherd girl in Vrindavan used to trade on, yeah. They were all business people, the ladies of Vrindavan. They were Vaishya community and they used to trade with butter, yeah. So that's a good news for women's lib movement, yeah. Women were involved in business for a long time. Okay. So then she sees the mess and then she sees the stick of Nanda Maharaj, who had forgotten to take his stick, right? Because he was in a hurry to make arrangements. So she takes that rod and starts looking for Krishna in the courtyard. In the meantime, Krishna's, the pastime could have very well ended in this beautiful episode and Leela of Krishna and Yashoda Maya sitting with each other and, experiencing the bliss from each other's association. The pastime could very well end, but these kind of pastimes actually gets intensified in Vrindavan. Yeah. So now it's an intense pastime and an exchange of bliss between Mother Yashoda, the devotee of Sri Krishna. And then, so she goes into the backyard and starts searching for Krishna. There's always one psychology. The police has only 2 eyes, yeah? But the thief has got 1,000 eyes. So when Krishna was sitting in the backyard, and he had already fed so much of butter to the monkeys, yeah? And monkeys, as it is full of mischief, and they messed up the place further. Now, where is our dear Krishna Prabhu? He was sitting on the, what do you call that? Wooden mortar, which is used for grinding spices. Yeah. And he was, sitting in the position of, is it called Sataka Padmasan? That is one leg down like this and the other leg on top of this leg. He was sitting like a big boss and feeding monkeys to Krishna. I think that is called as Sataka Padmasan pose. If Dear Krishna Prabhu was there, he could have clarified, or any one of the yogis here can clarify that point. So Mother Yashoda was searching for Krishna with her 2 eyes, and Krishna was having his 1,000 eyes looking when he smelled trouble now. The fun was over. Now he was smelling trouble. And the moment she saw Mother Yashoda was quietly chasing him, what did Krishna do? Krishna jumped off the wooden mortar, yeah, and started running. The courtyard of Yashoda's palace and Nanda Maharaj's palace is not so big. But how much of chasing can be done and how much tiny Krishna could run, but he was running at full speed. And it was very difficult for Yashoda Maya to catch up with this. Yashoda Maya had Krishna little late in her life. She was in her late 30s when she had Krishna. And Mother Yashoda was also a big built woman. She had big bosoms and she was also old. So she was feeling really tired in chasing Krishna. And then there are two types of Shaktis that Krishna has. One is the Ichha Shakti. And what is that Ichha Shakti? It is explained in Srimad Bhagavatam as, I don't remember the exact word. So Ichha Shakti is Krishna just does whatever he feels like. Nobody can stop him. Yeah. So that is one predominant Shakti. So obviously Mother Yashoda could not catch Krishna because he would do whatever he likes. He's got his Ichha Shakti. And then he looked behind and he saw that Yashoda Maya was really suffering. Then there is another Shakti of Krishna which takes over. When he saw Krishna's devotee, that's his devotee, Yashoda Maya, perseverantly trying to catch hold of him, then what did he do? His Kripa Shakti took over. So when his Kripa Shakti took over, then he stopped and freezed there, and Mother Yashoda was able to catch hold of Krishna. Yeah. And then she started chastising him, and she started trying to almost, shake the rod and say that I'm going to beat you up now, Krishna. Then he saw the fearful state in which Krishna was, and all the tears of the entire universe supported Krishna, and he started crying in front of Mother Yashoda. Then Yashoda Maya said, if I do something like this, then I'll have to take him to a psychiatrist later. He will get into some kind of a problem. So I will throw away the stick. And then the whole process of binding of Krishna takes place on the wooden mortar. The story doesn't end there. The Leela doesn't end there. When this when he was being bound by the ropes, there are no shortage of ropes in Vrindavan. Yeah, anybody knows how many cows were there in Nanda Maharaj's palace? The wealthiness of a person was actually calculated with the number of cows that he has. So Nanda Maharaj, being the king of the place, had 9 lakh cows. So when there are 9 lakh cows, obviously there is no shortage of rope. But every time, Krishna was about to be tied, the rope was always 2 fingers short. As she was wondering what's going on here, Kurangavati, Lavangavati, please get me some more rope. And then he tried tying Krishna again, but then again it was 2 inches short. And then by this time, what is happening? The whole of Vrindavan has assembled there, watching this pastime, and they were in a state of complete absorption and bliss. Some of them took the position of being on the side of Krishna, and the others were taking the side of Mother Yashoda. Some of them were saying, don't do this to this boy. It's very unfair. He never commits any fault. And then there was another group of people that said, no, Krishna is extremely naughty. He came to my house the other day. He went straight to the bedroom where my children were sleeping, pinched them on their bottoms and ran away. And the child was crying. And then another person said, yes, he is very mischievous. That day he didn't get any butter in my house, and he urinated in the hall and even passed stool in the hall and ran away. So this guy is a complete mess. You have to punish him. Please remember, both these factions are deeply absorbed in the love for Krishna. Yeah? So this went on for some time, and finally, again, the Kripa Shakti of the Lord was overwhelmingly present, and then Mother Yashoda was able to tie him around the belly. Yeah? So this is this wonderful pastime. We are short of time because the pastime continues with Krishna being tied to the wooden mortar, and the wooden mortar is actually vertical position. It just falls off to horizontal position, and he gets stuck as he is walking with the tied wooden mortar behind him. He gets stuck to 2 trees, which were Nalakuvera and Manigriva in their past lives. So we will not get into that pastime. But this is the wonderful pastime of the Lord, where the Lord actually comes and gives association to the entire Vrajadam. You know, the whole village of Vrindavan is filled with the stories of what Krishna is doing all the time. So immediately, within 5 minutes, the news spreads that Krishna is being chastised by Yashoda Maya and she is chasing him. The moment they got to know that information, immediately they all came to see this wonderful pastime. So that is why, you know, otherwise Krishna associates with the devotees in the morning time with the Gopas. They all assemble under the Krishna Balram tree and then they plan where to go on a picnic. Interesting time, right? All the children will be really interested in this. So it's daily picnic and no school for the children of Vrindavan. Yeah. So they decide, the Gopas, where to go on a picnic. Everybody's carrying their tiffin carriers and they go for a picnic. And then there is a culture of a family lunch at Nanda Maharaj's palace. So they return around 2 o'clock or whatever. Krishna, Balaram and the parents, they sit together and eat their lunch. And then in the evening, so that means in the afternoon and the early morning, Yashoda Maya gets association. In the afternoon, Nanda Maharaj gets the association and Yashoda Maya gets the association. Again, it's around 6 o'clock in the evening. There is every day a cultural festival. So they go to the main hall where the cultural festivals happen. So the whole of Vrindavan assembles there to see the cultural festival, what's going on there. So even then, everybody does not have undivided attention in having darshan of the Lord because there's distraction on the stage. And in the night, Krishna jumps out of the window and goes and meets the gopis of Vrindavan. So he gives the association to the gopis. But any festival, what does it mean? The whole of the devotee community is able to get association, personal association of Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So in this month of Kartik, so many pastimes occurred. Today is Sharad Purnima, right? So today is Sharad Purnima. So it is a marking of the festivities from today onwards. And then we have so many other festivals that are lined up. Diwali fell during this time. Yeah. So then festival means what? And then Gopashtami comes in this time. Yeah. So then there is Akshaya Navami, which comes during this holy month of Kartik. Akshaya Navami people spend on in frivolous ways, you know. They go and buy silver, some gold and everything. Yeah. Rather celebrate Akshaya Navami, buying something for the Supreme Personality of God Krishna, worshipping him more and chanting more on that day. So there are so many festivals. Festivals mean gathering of people at one place and speaking Krishna Katha. That is the real purpose of festival, which means that Krishna has given so much of causeless mercy to all of us in this month that we should all really understand the essence of Krishna consciousness, and whatever we are doing, commit ourselves a little more during this holy month of Kartik. Yeah, and it's so beneficial. We are all supposed to light a lamp for the pleasure of the Lord during this month in every single day. The benefit during the month of Kartik is so much that if you light one lamp for the Lord, it's like lighting 100 lamps for the Lord during this holy month of Kartik. And that is in any city. But in the Dham, Bangalore is nothing short of Dham, with devotees like Sudhir Gopal Prabhu and devotees like Harikshetra Prabhu, who is a visionary leader of the entire congregation. Then we have Kartikeya Prabhu and Achyuta Arjun Sakhadas Prabhu. So with these kind of stalwart devotees in the congregation, Bangalore is nothing short of a dham. And in a dham, if you light lamp for the Lord, it is as good as lighting 1,000 lamps every day. So if there are 4 members of the family and you light one lamp each for the Damodar form of the Lord. It's like lighting 4,000 lamps for the Lord. So much of mercy. It's like a grand sale. Yeah. So please focus and meditate on the glorious qualities of Yashoda, glorious qualities of the Vrajavasis, the glorious qualities of Sri Krishna, and the causeless mercy that is coming during this month of Kartik. And let us all be in meditation and absorption. I think Sudhir Gopal Prabhu had sent me a message about the austerities that we have to do in this 31 days. 31 days sankalpa of chanting a minimum number of rounds every day and reading at least one verse of the Bhagavad Gita. The whole thing, I think, if I saw that correct, it will all take about half an hour to 45 minutes. Just dedicate your half an hour to 45 minutes. And I would like to make a small change in the 31 days. Instead of 31 days, do it for 40 days. I was told by somebody that 40 days is a mandala. And if you do anything for one mandala, it becomes a habit which you can't get over again. So that means the whole of this lifetime, let us be practicing our Krishna consciousness. Whatever material things have to come, it will automatically come. The churning will continue. But as you're churning in this material universe, do not forget the Lord. And the Lord can never be forgotten by the simple activity of chanting His holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Hare. So I'll stop here. As usual, I've gone over the. So any questions that you have specific? Next is Karthi Prabhu.
Any questions or comments from you?
Yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Your preachings are like pure water flowing in the river. That is what.
That's a statement. That's not a question. Thank you very much. Anyway.
My question is, since my childhood, I have a question. There is a shloka 35 in chapter 3. Shreyan swadharmo vigunaha paradharma swanishtita swadharme nidhanam shreya paradharmo bhayavaha. In the context of this, what is swadharma? What is paradharma? Because I believe that Bharata has got, this of civilization and all since thousands of years.
Yeah.
But I believe we had only one dharma. That is what literally I mean.
Yeah.
But what is swadharma? What is paradharma in the context?
Go ahead, bro. Okay. Yeah.
Hare Krishna. So, very good question. What is dharma? Dharma means, it comes from a root word called dhru. Dhru means which sustains. Which sustains, which holds. And like the dharma of water is to flow. Dharma of fire is to heat and light. Similarly, dharma of every living entity is to serve. Vivera Sarupa by Krishna Yadas. The eternal occupancy of the living entity is to serve the Supreme Lord. And what is Paradharma? Paradharma means we identify ourselves with something else or someone else. Like, what does it mean? Yes, we have our other identifications as well. Like child has her identification, as father has her own identification, as a mother has her own identification. But if, like, just to give a very mundane example, one time one couple had come, along with their in-laws, and they were asking, like, this is like usually at everybody's house. Sasu which says that. And they kind of had come up with this one issue. And then this Sasuma is saying that, do you think like I will do all that? With all my intention, I'm doing so well, I'm thinking of so well of my daughter-in-law as my daughter. And at that point of time, the daughter-in-law said, Sasuma, आप मेरे सासुमा हैं, मेरी माँ नहीं है. Sometimes we have kind of identified with something else, and we have so much of expectation to that goal, right? Because we misidentify ourselves with our kind of constitutional properties, with kind of who I am. So who I am, like as I said, my soul dharma, like I discussed on that day, like how I am the soul, I am part and parcel of the Lord, and how I have to serve. And yes, there are other, if you just try to imitate others, others' role, right? It's a dangerous. It is so that verse, it is Bhaya. I'd like to add.
Yeah, it's a very nice question that you asked. It's actually the translation of this verse is, it is far better to discharge one's prescribed duties, even though faultily, than another's duty perfectly. Yeah. Destruction in the course of performing one's own duty is better than engaging in another's duty, for to follow another's path is dangerous. Now, you know the settings of the Bhagavad Gita itself, where Arjuna wanted to give up everything and lead a life of a beggar. He wanted to give up fighting. That is the fundamental reason why Bhagavad Gita was spoken. Krishna then explains to him that no, you have to continue with this activity of fighting. As a Kshatriya, he is supposed to, his swadharma or his personal responsibility is to fight in the battlefield, and running away from the battlefield was not the right thing to do. So therefore, he must do his dharma as a Kshatriya and fight the battle, was the advice of Krishna to Arjuna. And Arjuna was trying to display the qualities of a Brahmana while being a Kshatriya. It's okay, every one of us, whether we are a Shudra or a Kshatriya or a Vaishya, we all have to follow our dharma to do that kind of activity, so that at the opportune moment, we all get graduated to becoming a Brahmana. So that was the real essence. But while you're doing your activity, which you are meant to do as a Vaishya, Kshatriya, Brahmana, and Shudra, what is the consciousness that we should have? 8.6, yeah, 8.6 or 7. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmara yudhyacha. So that is the punchline. In whatever activities you're doing, mam anusmara yudhyacha. We are fighting in various ways in this material world, but how do we do that fight? By remembering Krishna in every activity and following his instructions. That way, whether you're a Shudra or a Vaishya or a Kshatriya or a Brahmana, you can perfect yourselves in the spiritual life. Does that kind of answer?
Yeah, so like in a current context, we might not have Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Kshatriya, but in a corporate or anywhere else, you see there is somebody who's a writer, there is somebody who's an actor, somebody who's an executor. There are different kinds of people out there. One person cannot really take others' role, right? Like definitely each role has its own job responsibility, JD, right? So similarly, we cannot really take somebody else's responsibility. At the same time, once we talk about like the Sanatana Dharma, which is really, eternal religion that we are talking about, that Prabhuji explained so much in detail, that it's really how we really identify ourselves as a soul and as a different responsibility that we might have, right? Whatever kind of a name or designations you might have, how we can really connect with the Supreme Lord. That's all the primary objective.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Any other questions, comments? Yes, please. So, what is your name, please?
My name is Anand.
I had a question that in Ashad it is believed that Lord Vishnu, he goes into sleep or slumber when we follow fasting. And in the month of Kartik, he comes back to the sleep. So does really Lord sleep for this state? I had a question.
Yeah, the Lord can do anything, so he can sleep also. He's all powerful. Yeah.
Yes, like it's called Asadi Ekadasi, right? From Asadi Ekadasi, so usually from that period, even a lot of like activities are not done. Okay? That's a kind of course, Lord's pastime, like that whatever he does. But at the same time, the deeper level, right? A devotee uses everything or every situation to get closer to the Lord. Whether as a mother Yasoda binding Krishna or Lord Krishna, right, playing with his cowherd friends, right? Or like as Prabhu said, going to somebody's house and stealing the butter. Every activity of the Lord is transcendental. Janma karma chame divyam, right? So everything is divyam. So there, for us, once you go to sleep, means we are going into the ignorance. But for Lord, right, everything is absolute, everything is transcendental. That's why this Prabhuji talked about verse 4.9. Even Jarma, Karma, Chanetitim. His activities and his appearance, and his living and everything is Divyam, everything is transcendental. So there is nothing which is like okay, sleeping and sleeping. Does that
When we sleep, we are in ignorance. But when the Lord sleeps, that is also his Leela. Lord sleeps every day in Vrindavan. Yeah, in his father's palace. And he wakes up every day. But then everything is transcendental. Sleep and wakefulness, these are dualities of material existence, right? In the transcendental world, we are out of the dualities of material existence. So pain and pleasure, that's a duality which we have in the material world. But pain and pleasure are both blissful in the spiritual world. Yeah. Separation and meeting, dualities in the material world. But separation and meeting is blissful. In fact, the devotees experience a lot of bliss when they're separated from Krishna. We can't fathom this with our material composition in our brain. But the spiritual world is completely out of the dualities of material existence. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Myself, Balabhadra. I wanted to know during this Kartik month, 31 days, the last 5 days are the most auspicious days.
Bhishma Panchaka.
Is there any reason for?
Yeah, it's like when the austerities are ending, generally you finish with a very intense austerity. So these 5 days, we observe very serious austerities and think only about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yes, bro. Can I?
Yes. Yes. So first of all, now, like we said, really meditated. Today is Purnami, and tomorrow is Pratipada. And usually the devotees, they celebrate this month from today. And as Prabhuji discussed very nicely, how Mother Yasoda was tying the rope for Krishna, and it was getting 2 fingers soft. How many fingers? 2 fingers. And our acharyas have given a lot of commentaries. Prabhuji, if you can elaborate, what does that 2 fingers signifies?
Yeah. So the one finger is actually the perseverance of Yashoda to catch hold of Krishna. So that is what all the sadhakas are persevering for. We should persevere with intent and with sincerity to get the Lord in our lives. And the second finger is when Krishna sees that kind of perseverance, then mercy descends and then your life is perfect. So one finger stands for our perseverance in Krishna consciousness, and the second finger stands for the mercy which descends from Sri Krishna. So the whole idea should be somehow attract the Lord and get His mercy. And His mercy is spiritual success. And Prabhu talked about Sharat Purnima. Today was the day when Krishna had his pastimes with his gopis in a place called Rasasthali in Vrindavan. So this pastime is going to happen today. So in the night, all of you can prepare some nice kheer, and if possible, keep it in the open. But if there is a problem of rats and insects coming and eating them, keep the rice kheer inside the house as an offering to the Lord, so that when people are tired, when they are performing the rasa pastimes, they can come and have the kheer that you offer. And then tomorrow morning, you can have that as prasadam.
Very beautifully Prabhuji talked about like the two fingers thought, which really represents the two main driving factors for any success. For any success, like what are the key success factors? This is very beautifully in this medicine. One is endeavor or perseverance, and second is the mercy of God. It's not that only my endeavor will really help in the success, or it's not only that only I wait for the mercy, I don't do anything, I get the success. Both are required. Yes, this month, right? We have to remember this point. We have to endeavor, we have to put our effort in getting closer to the Lord. And then we have to pray also. Oh Lord, my endeavor is not sufficient enough. Now I'm waiting for your mercy. Right? So this is the month to remember and to execute on this two principles. And as Prabhuji said, we have really thought of how we can really do it. How we can really do it by, like as Prabhuji said, we can do this for 40 days, right? There's the ways we can sow it to the Lord. Yes, Lord, I'm putting some effort. I'm taking one step closer to you. How I take one step closer to the Lord? Yes, by remembering, because that's what I said, this is the best process. Sravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. This is a process where we are hearing about the Lord. We are remembering the Lord. We are chanting the name of the Lord. We are reading these beautiful scriptures which talks about the activities of the Lord and so many beautiful pastimes of the Lord. So just spending some time, right? Yes, this pastime once again reminds us that we cannot expect to get the fruit without focusing on the root, without focusing on the effort. So let's ensure that, right? Once we talk about the I want to see God, I want to meet with the Lord, I want to understand the deeper aspect of the Lord. We have to put our effort. We have to really understand. We have to connect with the Lord. We have to make ourselves eligible to do that, right? And then, most important thing during this month is that yes, we chant, we hear Bhagavad Gita, and we offer lambs. It's so simple. Just take one lamb and take a wheat, dip in ghee, and offer it to the Lord. And Lord Ranganath, Lord Balaji, Lord Jagannath, Lord Dwarkanath, any Vishnu forms of the Lord, you can just offer it. And with the beautiful bhajan now we'll be singing. So this is called Damodara Stakam. This is the heartfelt prayer of a Muni called Satyavrat Muni. Remembering this beautiful pastime, we chant this, and just another simple activity we can do, just watering tulasi every day, like most of the houses, right? That's what we used to do it. We just offer a little bit of water to the tulasi, or take one tulasi leaf, offer it to the Lord, and also say Sattvik Prasadam, not try to be away from the food which are eaten in the passion or in the mode of ignorance. Right? We should take the fruits and roots, right? And also offer it to the Lord and take it. And then not only that, we really get that peace within ourselves. We should try our best, right? We should try our best, right? To share this bliss with everybody. As Prabhuji said, the people talk about $1 billion sale or billion days sale, but this is a zillion, not even million or billion. So much mercy Radha Rani and Yashoda Mai is really giving us. So, and some of you, might have practiced, or you can ask anybody whoever has done this, just offering a lamb, or just kind of just chanting a little bit more, offering water to this, just little bit, the seva that we do on this month, we get so much benefit. If we are getting so much benefit, why we have to keep ourselves, right? No, why don't we share it to others also? I would request Kisiri Mataji to share some hearts. Yes, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. As we sing the Ashtakam, every verse of this Ashtakam, which is beautifully compiled by Satyavata Muni, has got a lot of meaning. It's a complete leela of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, in one of my favorite verses is Yugantam Mohor Mitram Yugmam Rajantam Karam Bhoja Yugmini Satakkanam. It's a Sanskrit composition, and we will be sharing it on the screen. And you can see how Krishna starts trembling when he sees the stick in his mother's hand. You know, the whole composition is about the beauty of the Lord showing how he's scared of his mother. And this is just transcendental. The Lord doesn't have to be scared of anybody, but this is a leela for us to meditate upon. And so during this Kartik Mahina, I don't know, we are very fortunate to be here, but normally we are never here. We are always in Vrindavan at this time because we have a whole lot of festivals which happen. We have Gopashtami, as Prabhu mentioned, where Radharani dresses up like a Gopa boy. That is the day when Krishna actually matures from tending the calves to the cows. So Radharani wants to participate, and it's an all-boys festival. It's no girls. So she dresses up like a Gopa, and she goes. So in all our temples, Radharani is actually dressed like a Gopa boy with dhoti and kurta and turban. And then she holds a calf in her hand just to cover her front, you know. And she goes there and then she participates in the festival. Then we have the Govardhan Leela, and then Krishna lifted the Govardhan Hill. And this month we also have a lot of devotees on the Ekadashi, it's called Jagara Ekadashi, where they do the 84 Course Parikrama, and Vrindavan is full of devotees. There is not 1 inch of land you can actually do your parikrama in. It's such a very beautiful, auspicious month, and we will now try to sing the Ashtakam, just 8 verses, but please, as we are singing the Ashtakam, please go through meanings of the Ashtakam, what has been rendered by Satyavata Muni. This was done in Satyayuga, so you can please, listen to this Ashtakam and meditate on the pastime of the Supreme Personality of God. Hare Krishna.
Hare. So, as Mataji said, she is here, but her heart is in Vrindavan. Like every devotee.
That is there.
We are here, right? But whenever we are chanting, Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna, whenever we are chanting the Lord's name, that place also gets transformed into Dham. So yes, staying in our own houses, we can transform our houses also to Dham. So by doing this simple activities, how many of you would really try to do this? Still somewhat doubtful? I'll tell you. You want to do it or you want to try it? How many of you want to try it? How many of you want to do it? Let me tell you a very small anecdote, right? One time, one Sadhu was there, right? And he asked a very simple math question. He said, there is a field. What? There is a field and there are 5 frogs are there. How many? 5 frogs on the banks of that field. How many frogs? 5 frogs. And then 3 frogs saw that there is one person coming, and that frogs, they got scared, and 3 frogs tried to jump to that field from the bank. How many frogs jumped? Tried to jump. So how many are remaining? 3 tried to jump. So they have not yet jumped. So if you're trying, then you're not doing anything. So now how many of you try to do it? So how many of you do it now? Thank you very much. And most importantly, please focus on the last point as well. Let's try to give this mercy also to others. Right? And what we do usually, we do this program in a lot of housing communities. Right? We go to the different apartment complexes. We just do a half an hour, 45 minutes, or a 1 hour Diwali program where we bring everybody together, we do a nice kirtan, we offer lamps, we kind of distribute some prasadam. Just like some of you might have seen before Janmashtami, we used to go to different communities here in nearby communities and celebrate programs. Similarly, would also like to do it. Or if you want, you can also invite the devotees to your house. So wonderful to come for serving the devotees, right? So you can also invite devotees to your house as well, and you can invite your friends, neighbors, and you can reorganize this program. So you have an opportunity to host and to do this program at your home. So if you would like to do it, now you can reach out to any of our coordinators, and they can really help you in really organizing this program in your society or in your house. Thank you very much. Sri Sri Damodarashtakam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. This wonderful couple, Yugal Kisar Prabhu and Kisari Mataji ki jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki
Jai! So thank you all very much, dear devotees. It was really nice to get your association. Wish you all a wonderful Damodar Mahini. Hare Krishna.
So here, once we'll just sing this beautiful song, okay? And after that, everybody will be given a lamp. So you can offer this lamp to Lord Jagannath. So Lord Jagannath is there. So once you'll be given a lamp, and you can offer that lamp to Lord Jagannath, and then you can really go for prasad.
श्री श्री दामोदर लाल की, श्री श्री वृंदावन धाम की। नमामीश्वरं सच्चिदानन्दरूपं लसत्कुण्डलं गोकुले व्रजमानम्। नमामीश्वरं सच्चिदानन्दरूपं लसत्कुण्डलं गोकुले व्रजमानम्। नमामीश्वरं सच्चिदानन्दरूपं लसत्कुण्डलं गोकुले व्रजमानम्। नमामीश्वरं सच्चिदानन्दरूपं यशोदाप्रियलोकनवमानम् परामृष्टमभ्यन्ततो धृत्यगोप्य यशोदाप्रियलोकनवमानम् परामृष्टमभ्यन्ततो धृत्यगोप्य रुदन्तं मुहुर्नेत्रयुग्मामृजन्तम् कराम्बोजयुग्मेन शताङ्कमेव Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Jaya Radha Shyam Sundar Radha Shyam Sundar Radhe Jaya Radha Shyam Sundar Radha Shyam Sundar Radhe Jaya Radha Madan Mohan Radha Madan Mohan Radhe Jaya Radha Raman Radha Raman Radhe Bolo Radhe 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 Jai 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 Shri Radhe 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 Jai 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 Shri Radhe 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 Shyam Bihari Radhe 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 बरसाने वाली राधे 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 जय 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 श्री राधे राधा रानी की जय महारानी की जय बोलो बरसाने वाली की जय 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 बोलो वृंदावन रानी की जय 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 वृषभानु दुलारी की जय 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 राधा रानी की जय महारानी की जय Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram. Jaya Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan. Giri Jaya Gaura Nikhai, Gaura Nikhai, Gaura Nikhai, Jaya Gaura Nikhai. Jaya Radhe Shyam, Radhe Shyam, Radhe Shyam, Jaya Radhe Shyam. Shri Radha Damodar ki, Shri Damodar Lal ki, Shri Shri Vrindavan Dham ki, Shri Shri Giriraj Govardhan ki, Jai Jai Shri Radhe, Jai Jai Shri Radhe, Jai Jai Shri Radhe. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Mataji, for literally taking us to Vrindavan.
Hare Krishna.
On this auspicious day of Sharad Purnima. So, Harisa, we have some announcements. So, and devotees, now a couple of devotees requested that, yes, we are meeting only once in a week. Why not meet little more often and to accept that request? So, we have started now one more program. This is called Food for Soul. We talked about soul and body in one of our sessions. So, we'll have a this session called Food for Soul every Thursday, 8 to 9, where we'll be reciting Gita, where we'll be hearing from our acharyas, and we'll also learn new bhajans, meaning of the bhajans, and also whatever questions we might not be able to answer during the short time that we have, right? We'll also have, right? So yes, we'll have our senior devotees like our